Here we go again.
Let's get ready for takeoff!
And we are back on the road to glory. Thursday, June 11th. Summer is upon us. And that's good news for us football fans because we all know summer is a little bit dry. Not a lot happens for football. A little bit of NFL action. We're getting some OTAs, some stuff like that, some mini camps. But June's a little boring. But once we get through June, man, July is really when it starts to kick up. Start getting college teams in their summer practice going, or their fall camps going, I guess. The NFL, their summer program begins, their training camps all begin. So, hey, man, a couple more weeks. Football's around the corner. I am Sean. I am joined by Haas. Steph should be joining us shortly at some point throughout this episode. Haas, what's the vibes, my brother? How you feeling? Just what's up?
Feeling good, man. Every day we approach closer to week zero, feel much better. You know, watching these NBA finals right now just has me even more excited for football and what it feels like to be watching GGs and the highest level of competition. So, feeling great as we approach college football. 79 days away officially, and I'm looking forward to this UGA run for a natty. Kirby got to get that third ring, man.
Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll be talking plenty about UGA and their quest for like you said, Kirby's third natty. But right now, like you said, all eyes, at least where we're at, as you guys know, we're based in New Jersey, New York area, and so we're all big Knicks supporters here. And Knicks in five, man, they're one away. That I think we witnessed sports history last night. I think we could honestly talk about that because what happened last night transcends not just basketball. That's just like one of the greatest sporting competitive matches you'll ever see in your lifetime, most likely. I mean, that's something that we might not ever see again. And obviously, we said that with 28-3, and here we are. But I mean, that's was what 10, 15 years ago. So truly a spectacular comeback from the Knicks, an all timer. Um, Sucks that the Spurs got to be the team to shoulder that, but hey, you should have won the game if
Definitely
you
should have
wanted
won the
to.
game. You know,
But
they
yeah, Haas,
fold.
what do you think? Do you think that a two-part question. A, is that the greatest comeback of all time in general? Is that better than the 28-3 in the Super Bowl? The 3-1 with the Cavs and the Warriors? And obviously, I'm sure I'm missing some big ones in like some other sports and baseball, soccer that I'm not as versed in. But off your experience, is that the biggest comeback? And do you think that's the best game that you've ever watched?
I would definitely say that's the best game I've ever watched, football, basketball wise. And I can't put it over LeBron's comeback only because he got the job done. If the Knicks get the job done, or I should say when the Knicks get the job done, maybe I can have that discussion. But right now, I can't put it before Braun or really the Super Bowl, honestly, just because they haven't closed it out yet. Once they close it out, I feel more comfortable, you know, talking about it because if they're not able to close it out, then this game is just going to be remembered for the wrong reason. So,
Hey,
but
let's
as of
let's hope.
now, it's definitely the best game I've ever watched. I mean, 29 points, and if you've kept up with the Knicks this year in their playoff run, they've come back around the same time around every game they've trailed significantly in. Around that 7 minute mark in the fourth quarter is when they wake up. Both game ones of the Western Conference Finals and these finals, the Knicks had a nice layoff because they had swept both their opponents and they were a little rusty. But when the fourth quarter starts, the Knicks are on. Like it's crazy to watch, and it's just insane to see Wemby at such a young age dominate still and be expected to be so great. Like I feel like people forget how young Wemby is, and we've seen the lights get a little too bright for him in some moments, but for him to be able to still persevere somehow and compete against really a Knicks veteranish squad. You know, these guys. This is their what second year together as a trio, Villanova boys, and that's only in the NBA. I mean, in college they played together, so Wemby's really going up against some old heads, and he's holding his own for now. I mean, we're just watching really one of the greatest matchups we've ever seen in playoff history, NBA playoff history, to our age. I mean, just think about his swing. It's crazy. Like Wemby in his prime versus Wemby in his young prime versus the Knicks in their prime. I mean, I feel like the Knicks are just one of those teams where the sport is better when they're good. Similar to the Giants.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. Wemby's awesome. I'm a big fan of him. Obviously, like you said, there's been moments where the lights have been too bright. He's not quite got that clutch gene in him yet. But he's young. The Spurs are young, but it's still been a great matchups. Like you mentioned, though, series is not over. There was a lot of celebrating like the Knicks won the championship last night. I can't speak for the actual guys in the locker room. I can only speak for the fans and the media. But if you ask them, they act like the Knicks won the championship last night, which they didn't. So hopefully, like Haas mentioned, those boys are still locked in the locker room. Job is not finished, as the legendary Kobe Bryant said. And yeah, Knicks in five. We'll put it into that segment. NBA
Quick,
Finals
before
was
we
awesome
run off,
though.
before we move off the Knicks right now, just some hypotheticals or just who would your NFL comp player be for Jalen Brunson? 2026 Jalen Brunson.
I would say prime Russell Wilson,
Mm.
undersized playmaker. Somebody that's not the fastest, not the biggest, not the strongest, but I mean, you saw when Russ was in his prime, he could do it all. He was a true dual threat. He can make every throw. He's a great leader. Those Seahawks teams, obviously, when you think of them, you really think of the Legion of Boom. You think of Marshawn Lynch. I think Jalen Brunson is a little bit more of a star, but at the same time, a lot of people still don't respect Brunson for him being on that 1A tier, and I think a lot of people respect Russell Wilson as well. But even in his prime, I don't think people ever really thought he was up there with Rodgers or Manning or Brady at that time. He was always a tier below, and so I think yeah, I think he's like Russell Wilson. That would be my comp.
That's a great comp.
Yeah. What about you? You got a comp for him, or you were just trying to?
I don't know. I don't off the head. I don't really have one. That's why I was interested to see what you said, and I could
Yeah,
definitely see Russell Wilson. But
I
I'm
like
just
Russell
thinking
Wilson.
of someone undersized who's really able, like just his poise as well. I mean, I don't know if I've
Yeah.
ever seen Jalen Brunson smile. I'm not joking. I don't think I've
Nah.
ever seen him smile. A young player who I never seen smile before he got to my favorite team was Jamar Chase, and I don't know if I compare him to Jamar Chase, but just his ability to stay consistent at like just doing
Yo,
what he does. He never runs away from what he does. You're what's up, Steph? We're talking about a player comp for Jalen Brunson in the NFL.
oh, I don't know.
Sean said Russell Wilson.
I don't even watch basketball.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were
we were
just talking
actually
about last night's game. I mean,
yeah we were killing some time, like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode. We are waiting for Steph. Steph has joined us. Steph, how you feeling, brother? What's your vibes like?
Chilling, man. We live?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yes, sir.
yeah, I'm
30,000 in the
chilling.
chat.
I'm chilling, man.
Word.
Just ready for the season. It's that summertime. It's that dead
Yeah.
time in terms of, well, almost got the NBA finals going on right now.
Yep.
But once that's over, it's like sports is just done. So
It's funny. It's funny. That's how you know you're a vet of this podcast because that's literally exactly what we said before you got on, and you didn't even hear a single thing that we said, and we said the same exact thing about summer and once we get through summer and all that good stuff. But all right, we got a big show. We didn't really talk about the docket. Obviously, there's a whole saga going on with Brendan Sorsby and that situation, and what the implications are with the NCAA and Trust me, we'll talk all about that. Also, like Haas and Steph and I have all mentioned, season is getting closer. You can really feel it. So we're gonna, go through the schedule. We'll talk about some of the marquee games, some of the matchups that catch our eye week through week, conference by conference. We won't really spend too much time making any predictions or diving too deep into them, but just looking at the matchups, looking at the helmets, stuff like that. Um, and then we will also talk a little bit about CFB 27, um, depending on what the timing is like. I feel like I could do some more research, but I have a lot of notes written down as well. Seemingly, everybody's pretty happy with it. Haven't played the beta yet. Steph, have you, or Haas, have you tried out the beta yet? Or Madden, even?
I am not.
Nah,
It looks good.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I've heard
I've
all
only
about
seen the tush push, the hanging
it.
mouthpiece,
Yeah,
and
some other stuff. We'll talk about it.
Fernando Mendoza.
But all right. Steph pre-show kind of mentioned that he kind of wanted to start with Brendan Sorsby, and I think I'm completely fine with that. It's probably the biggest off the field storyline um, in the entire maybe sports industry right now. Um, I think this definitely is worthy of the clown of the week music. So usually the segment that we end with, we are going to start with because there are a lot of clowns and a lot of clownery that we are about to discuss. You guys down with that, or would you guys want to save that to the end?
We can do it
Nah,
first.
let's start off with that
Let's do
guy,
it.
bro.
All
Let's
right,
talk.
everybody's favorite segment. It's time for Clown of the Week. All right, let's get into it, man. Um, First, let's start off, I guess. I'll break down a little bit of a timeline for those of you guys who aren't too tapped in. Um, but basically, you all know Brendan Sorsby, coveted transfer portal quarterback. He landed at Texas Tech for a bag. Um, and then early um, in spring, a gambling history surfaces pretty much, and he is admitted into rehab. An NCAA investigation goes underway, and he is ruled ineligible. And then on May 18th, Sorsby's legal team files for a temporary injunction in Texas court, calling the NCAA deeply hypocritical on gambling and arguing irreparable harm to Sorsby and to his mental health and a bunch of other stuff. Then in late May, early June, there was a court hearing in Lubbock County Court where Sorsby's side proposed a self-imposed two-game suspension, which would have him miss the two non-conference games at the beginning of the year for Texas Tech. Then on June 6th or 7th, one of those 2 days, the NCAA denied his appeal. And then just yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a Texas district judge named Ken Curry that granted them a temporary injunction, which deems Sorsby eligible for the 2026 season. Basically, Texas Tech can't be blocked by the NCAA from Sorsby practicing or playing. He sits out the first two games. Um, Conditions include ongoing treatment for gambling and anxiety, and the trial of the full case is set for February 8th, 2027. So before we go deeper into this, I was pretty adamant when I first heard the news that he wasn't going to play, that even though they got the injunction, he was going to be fine. It was going to be fine. Like he might play maybe one or two games, but then the court was going to, come down and he was going to be banned. But with the information surfacing that his court hearing isn't until February 8th, I don't know if you guys realize, well, but that's after the season. Um, so he'd be able to play the entire season after suspending that two-game ban, which means there is, at this point in time, a 99.9% chance that Brendan Sorsby will be suiting up and taking the field for Texas Tech this year. Obviously, that is huge implications and is a horrible thing for not only college football but college sports, professional sports, and everything. And also just what does the NCAA even do? Like, what is their job? If every ruling can just be sued, or there could be an injunction by a, a local judge that went to Texas Tech. Mind you, that court hearing on February 8th, all three judges at that hearing are Texas Tech alumni. So you can probably imagine how that hearing is going to go. But this is just terrible. Um, Haas, Steph, I'll give the floor to you guys. What are your just thoughts on this? Um, Obviously, Texas Tech, their AD, their coach, they put out statements. You can go to their Twitter to read those if you're interested. Um, the Big 12, we'll talk about that and those teams maybe not wanting to play them. Steph Haas, like I said, what do you guys think?
This is probably the biggest story in all of sports. I mean, this is just ridiculous. That's basically the only thing I could say about it. I mean, we have a player that was gambling on his own games, gambling on other sports, admitted to it. He was caught and admitted to it. He did not go into rehab on his own. Let's make that clear. This is a guy that was caught gambling on his own games as a current athlete in college athletics, where the rules are clear that if you gamble on your own games, you are banned. We've already seen other players be banned for way less, for gambling a few dollars on their own games or another game. We've seen players in other sports be banned for life from the NCAA for gambling. And this is a guy who bet, they said, $90,000 over the past few years, going back to what, 2022. And this was all the way up until he got caught, and which was in what, April? I mean, so he was doing this while at Texas Tech. He was doing this while at Cincinnati and at Indiana. This is a guy that was giving people that he knows money in other states to gamble on his behalf. And again, he did not go into the rehab facility on his own. He only did so after being caught and was trying to gain some sympathy for this case that he knew was about to happen. So, and that was the whole argument from his side why he should be allowed to play, is that that him not being a part of the football team would, negatively affect his mental health and things like that. And it's like, well, wait a second. If you broke the rules, even if that was true, if you broke the rules, the punishment is clear and dry. I don't understand how you could sit up there and say that your mental health is going to be affected by not being a part of a sports team. I mean, because at the end of the day, that is a privilege. That is not a right. That is not a human right, being part of a sports team. I mean, that happens in every other area of life. If you go out and commit a crime and go to jail, you can't sit up there and say, "Oh, being in jail hurts my mental health." Oh, if you break the rules of your company and get fired. Oh, being fired from my job is going to hurt my mental health. I just don't understand how a court takes this seriously. I mean, I do understand when it's a local court and you have the first judge recused himself because he was a Texas Tech alum and there was pictures of him floating around with the mascot and stuff. And then I think the judge that actually gave the injunction was a Houston alum. So I mean, I guess he doesn't have any allegiance to Texas Tech, but I mean, there's just no way that there's no funny business going on here.
Yeah. How's any thoughts? Or
Lock his ass up. Lock his ass up.
Not for real.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy here, but we all know he's got the complexion for the connection. I mean,
Not be that guy.
we're talking about the deepest of the South, the deepest of the South in Texas. And like Sean said, the committee being on, the chair being Texas Tech alumni is only going to work in his favor. So this is all collusion and typical blue collar USA shit. I mean, this country's ghetto, and I think everybody knows that. So I don't expect anything less from the NCAA. I mean, I don't even know what's going on at this point. Like, at some point, it's not going to be considered college athletics anymore. It's going to be a minor sports league, and all the endorsements are going to be 80% gambling sponsors. That's where it looks like it's headed. Unfortunately, I mean, nothing will ever take away the players on the field, but when you do something like this, the integrity is definitely altered. Like, there's no reason anybody who's gambling and playing on the field, like Steph said, should not face any kind of consequence. When you take away the integrity of the sport, you've lost everything. So I hope that something is done or the football gods do something, but somebody has to do something. I
Yeah,
mean, you
something's got to
can't get away
happen.
with this.
Something's got to
Yeah.
happen. I mean, is there really no way for the court thing to happen before the season? Because it's crazy. Why does it get scheduled for February of next year?
Well, I
That doesn't
mean,
even make any sense. Why does it
it
take that
doesn't.
long?
Well, I told you who the judges are and who's in the court, and so it's a Texas court. So, like Hassan said, it's all collusion. It doesn't make sense, Steph. You're
It's
right,
ridiculous.
and they know that. But who's going to tell them anything different? Congress can. Congress can step in, I guess. Like
This is so crazy. I
maybe
mean,
Donald Trump. Maybe Donald Trump can sign an executive order. But like, that's a. I'm not even gonna go down that whole rabbit hole.
this
Yeah.
is so crazy. Like, and then what makes it worse is when you have the AD and the coach and Cody Campbell actually defending this. I mean,
Yeah.
you had the coach come out and say, "Oh, we had people that killed people, well, not kill people. We had people that commit crimes, and he didn't beat anybody or kill anybody." It's like, whoa, you're comparing two things that are not even remotely close.
Yeah.
And what happens to people that do those things get punished. Now, does the punishment always line up? No. Am I going to sit here and say that we don't have football players that have gotten away with doing a lot of crazy stuff? But one thing that has never happened is people getting away with gambling in any sport. Once people have gotten caught gambling, they've always been banned. I mean, look what's going on
I,
in the NBA right now. We've seen multiple betting scandals in the NBA, and look what happens to those people. Look what happens to people that are in the NFL that get caught gambling. I mean, Calvin Ridley got suspended for a whole season for betting $1,000 on himself. And and this is just what's going on. So when you have, like I said, when you have the integrity of the game in question, this can't be something that's allowed to happen. Because as a fan, how can you sit up here and watch a game when people could possibly be gambling and rigging games and throwing games and things like that? Why would I watch a sport event if I know that what's happening may not even be real?
yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like Haas mentioned too, the integrity of the entire sport, and not just this sport, all sports now, and like
Yep.
everybody. Who what's to say that the next player isn't just gonna start betting on his own stats now? Like if I can just have a Florida alumni be a judge at a Florida court, like I'm just gonna go and make some bread. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah. And but not only for this rule, that goes for all rules. What's to say somebody can't come back from professional sports and go to college under the
Looks like
NCAA is under question now? Because if you can just sue, it's like you said, if you can just sue for any rule, or and let the court process take way too long while people are playing, because Brendan Swordsby only has 1 year of eligibility left anyways. So it's
Right.
not even like he can
He's
play
going to
this
the
year and
NFL
then
after.
and then yeah, exactly. And then
Well, he's
if he
not going
was
to go to the
trying to
NFL.
Yeah, like if he was like a
Yeah.
freshman and then got could get have the court delayed till next year and then get banned for the last 3 years of his life of his college football career or whatever. But he's a senior already, so once he plays this season, his eligibility is going to be done anyways, and then the case is just going to get dropped because it doesn't even matter at that point. So I mean, this just makes all rules be able to be broken and everybody can just get away with it. I mean, it's just gonna be do whatever the hell you want to do. I mean, why is it even college football? You know, it's like
Also,
why can't
I
I
know.
sign any NFL player to my college team since we can just break all the rules now?
Yeah, this shit's gonna become like WWE unless there's a commissioner because
Yeah.
you know it's bad when it gets to the point where regular civilians like us, I know you don't gamble, Steph, but it takes as simple as entering or using a debit card that doesn't have your legal name on it into a FanDuel account and your account suspended for life. Or
Yep.
we've faced more uh, consequences as a citizen gambling than Brandon Sorsby has as a
Yep.
professional athlete.
It's
He's not in the
crazy.
NFL, but he's a professional athlete. He's getting paid. So, I mean, something. I just also don't get why he wouldn't just want to declare for the draft. I mean, obviously the
Well,
NIL money is different, but
I want to
as
talk
you
about
could,
that actually. Do you
I
think
just
an
don't
NFL
see
team
the.
wants to sign him? Like, would
Absolutely not.
any team
Absolutely
take him?
not. But as you can see him saying at Texas Tech, nobody wants to play the school now.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's the solution. We keep saying like, what can be done if nothing in the courts are gonna be done? I guess the Big 12 itself can make a ruling. The conference itself can make a ruling, or the individual teams, like you said, they can. I guess they can strike and they can not play against Texas Tech. They would all lose a game. They'd also all lose a big opportunity because obviously Texas Tech is going to be a big game for most of those teams, an opportunity for a quad one win, a big win. But if it's what they can do to punish Texas Tech in a sense, or do something to
Something's got to
protest what's
happen.
going
I
on.
mean,
But
if the
yeah,
Big 12 themselves don't do anything, I mean, somebody got to grow some nuts out here, yo, for real. Because how like they can't this can't just happen. You can't just have this player just play through the whole season after the NCAA ruled
yeah,
him ineligible. I
and
mean,
that,
this is just ridiculous. Nobody should play Texas Tech in football all season. The entire Big 12 and the other two teams honestly should not play against them. Everybody should just blackball them from football if they say they're going to play Sorsby
That's how it's
because then
probably gonna
then
go. Nobody's
they
gonna play
it
Texas
has
Tech
to. I mean
because if
this
you
and
play
then
them,
you
you're gonna be looked at differently.
yo and you have the coach and the AD coming out and defending this man. I mean, they're just doing a bunch of mental gymnastics trying to act like you're morally wrong for not wanting this man to play. I mean, listen, man, the guy was caught. He did not admit he did not come out and say I have a problem. I'm going to go to rehab and then the whole thing happened. No, wasn't whatever company he was betting with was like tipped off by somebody or whatever. And I think it might have been by law enforcement too or something. Either way, he got caught and then admitted to it and then went to the rehab facility. This man would not have done that if he did not get caught. So
And
let's
as a
just stop.
teammate, like let's be realistic about. Obviously, he's returning to the school he was already at. So his teammates, his coaches, the city, the state, everyone's gonna have a bias for this kid. But outside of Texas Tech and company, everyone else is gonna hate him. And as a future teammate, no one's gonna want to play with him. I mean, he bet on his own team, so he obviously can't be trusted. And people like that don't last in a locker room. And you once you have that rep, it never goes away. And the fact that he's not even facing any consequence for it is just gonna make him even worse of a make his character look even worse. To be honest, like I think the right thing for him to do, because realistically, if we're like you never wish anybody to go to jail, but if we're being realistic, we see a lot of other athletes facing real jail time over gambling and hosting poker games and things of that nature. So
I mean, there's an
I think
investigation in
I
the
think
NBA with Chauncey
Yep.
Billups, Terry
Yep.
Rozier, they're all about to go to jail because they were
Yep.
messing with
So
the
like
mob and
things have to be
breaking
there has to
games.
be some type of
I
equilibrium
mean,
because this is crazy. And Texas Tech made the playoffs last year. They get smoked in a fat
stood
raw
up,
paper.
stood up,
So I think they're just trying to honestly drag this on to
so he could
I
play.
mean,
stay hot. Like
the crazy part about it is that Brendan Scoresby isn't even that good. He's not even like a Heisman level quarterback.
Well, they
he's
paid him a
not.
lot of money. That's really also I feel like what this is about as well. Like they gave him a bag, and I feel like
Yeah.
they invested so much into him that they have nothing else, and now they don't want to be left with shit in their hand.
But
And
my thing is like, yo, but that's for this year. You
yeah,
gotta think long term, right? Like
agreed.
now, after this, if you're really gonna die on this hill, I mean, why would anybody? I know Texas Tech has a billionaire that's willing to just pay for whatever, but like, why would anybody rock with this team
Yeah,
in the future? I mean,
I just told you the only people who are gonna mess with the team are gonna be alumni, people who played there, people
yeah,
who have kids going there. That's it.
like
No one and no
why
one's
is
gonna want
anybody
their
gonna
kids to
rock
go
with this
there
team?
actually.
You will forever be the villain of college football. I promise you right now, if this man plays, first of all, I already sort of feel like this because the coach and AD came out and defended him. But if this man plays at all this season, if he plays a single play this season, I will hate Texas Tech as much as I do Washington and USC. I promise you that. I will root for this program's downfall. I will root for this college's downfall. Seriously, I hope that an earthquake makes all the buildings in this school collapse with no one inside. I don't want nobody dying over this bullshit, but I'm just saying, like, I root for this college's downfall in every way possible. I hope they lose their accreditation or whatever the hell they be talking about. I hope they football team go 0-12. I hope they badminton team lose all their games. I hope every sport just goes down into the ground, and I hope that they just lose everything. I will root against Texas Tech as much as possible. I promise you that. If I come across anybody that went to Texas Tech, I will say fuck Texas Tech to their face. I promise you that because this is some bullshit, yo. You have a player that was gambling on his own games, was rightfully punished for it, somehow is able to play because of a local court, and then the coach and AD come out and defend it. I mean, no one as a part of this team has any type of character or integrity. These are not the type of men that I would want to be around. This is not the type of coach I would let my son play for. I don't give a crap how much money they trying to pay. I would not let my son play for anybody that thinks that it's okay to gamble on your own games because at some point you have to learn your lesson. And unfortunately, sometimes to learn a life lesson, we have to have the thing that we care about the most taken from us. And that's the lesson that Brendan Sorsby needs to learn right now in this moment. Because by letting him play after this, you're not doing him any favors. Because at some point, you're gonna come to a point in life where you do something and you're not gonna have all these people behind you. You're not gonna have people, judges willing to listen to an idiotic argument because they root for a football team and all this and that. I mean, like, even if I was him, I would be embarrassed that people are doing all this on my behalf. Seriously. Like, you had an entire court be a sham. Also, that they could cover up you gambling. I mean, this is just ridiculous. And then you had the Texas Attorney General coming out and say he would take legal action against the Big 12 if they decided not to play against Texas Tech. This is all just a giant clown show, bro. And I'm not gonna lie, the entire state of Texas might fall under the clown of the week. Because how is the attorney general gonna come out and say something like this? And I don't even hear enough outcry from other people in Texas.
Yeah, I agree, and I think this begs to ask the bigger question, and we've talked about it in past off seasons. It hasn't really been brought up so much recently, but we've 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 talked about the mention or the thought of something maybe like a super league or a way that the SEC and the Big Ten and maybe a few others out of the ACC and a couple of these other conferences they break off and they go form their own league that they play in, and it's not under NCAA jurisdiction. I think that was already a direction that we were kind of heading in. I think if this stands, then that's just going to be expedited because then the NCAA is literally rendered meaningless. At this point, it's just a title. They're just a name brand. They don't have any power. They don't have any jurisdiction. There's no way they can enforce anything. So I could definitely see within the next decade the NCAA really not existing anymore and each conference
Seriously.
governing their own
I
stuff
mean, look,
and coming together and having one maybe mega, I don't know, maybe not one mega conference, but having one having their own uh, board of conferences or whatever, you know what I mean, where all the
like,
commissioners come together and make rules and stuff like that.
and the thing about this is like, it ain't even just about gambling anymore. It's about all the rules.
Anything, yeah,
It's
anything.
literally about anything. If there's no rules, it's like I said, why don't we just start signing NFL players, people that
Yep.
didn't make the league? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Why is there a limit on eligibility? Why can't I play for 10 years in college football? Why can't I just why can't I transfer to a different team in the middle of the season? Why can't if there's no rules because the NCAA can't even enforce anything. I mean, we talk a lot of shit about the NCAA. They've done a lot of dumb stuff over the years, but in this case, they did everything they were supposed to do. The guy gets caught. They ruled him ineligible, but a local court said no. We're gonna give him an injunction, and then we're gonna decide this later. I just don't understand.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I'm gonna try to be positive and hold out a little bit of hope, and just say
right.
that you know something is gonna happen. Whether it's the court process getting sped up or the Big 12 coming down and saying, look, none of our teams are gonna play them. I mean, because I'm pretty sure the conference is allowed to even change their own rules, like whenever they want.
Maybe they
If
can
they
ban them from the postseason. The college football playoff can say that Texas Tech,
well, the
any
thing
game
about
that
the
they
college
play
football
before
playoff is
the,
that they're not run by the NCAA.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe
NCAA does not own it. So
they
I
can
mean, so
yeah,
yeah, they could say that and just kind of say, well, you're not eligible for the college
yeah,
football playoff.
we're not gonna put you
But
in the playoffs.
but um, I don't know, man. I don't know all the legal stuff that would go into that, and I don't know. I think I'm just gonna hold out hope and say something is gonna happen that does not allow this man to play. But if he does play, if
Yeah,
he does play, I mean, the sport that it's all sports really,
all sports. It's
as
not
we
just
know
college
it.
football. Yeah,
Yeah, as we know it. I mean, are gonna be changed forever, man. I mean, honestly, and y'all know, I love college football more than anybody. Why would you keep watching? Why would you keep watching? Why
yeah.
would you be a fan?
Because who knows what game is being read? What is like? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And let's be real. We've been watching sports long enough. We're old enough. We're aware enough. Maybe I'm speaking for myself here. I don't believe sports are rigged. I believe obviously they may be influenced. There's obviously Vegas involved. There's money involved. There might be refs that make certain calls to help sway games in certain directions, but I don't believe there are players and coaches and there's a grand scheme where there people are rigging games. Maybe
right.
one off here and there, right? That exists. But if this passes, I mean that is a complete reality after that. I mean, who says an assistant coach? I'm a graduate assistant at any college at Rutgers, making $40,000 a year. But I know every single. But I'm in the building with Rutgers every day. I know all of our matchups. I know what we're bad at. Why wouldn't I just gamble with all my insider information? And you know what I mean? Like it's just
I
it,
mean, and at the very
it goes
least, I mean,
beyond players.
that's what this is, right? Like this is
Yeah,
like insider trading, which is an actual crime,
yeah.
right?
Which is done by the
And
way
that's
by
why,
all the top rich people. So is it
right,
really a crime?
correct.
But you're right. It is
Well,
a
it
crime.
is a crime on paper, but
Yes, it is.
but that's why the betting company was tipped off because they're like, well, we got to put an end to this
Yeah,
because even for the gambling side, it's like it goes against their interests because what they don't want is people outside to be able to influence,
Influence.
you know,
Yep. Their
the
numbers
bets
and their
and
money.
the wins.
All right.
Um,
They don't
so
want to lose money.
right,
The house always
right,
wins.
exactly. The house always wins, and you know this this is just insane, man. I don't
Yeah.
understand how we got here,
Yeah.
but I mean this man cannot play. This man cannot play at all this season. I promise you. Like if he plays, I don't know, bro. I'm gonna be questioning a lot of things if he ends up playing this year. But I will
But
tell you one thing. I'm be rooting against Texas Tech with
yep.
as much as it's possible to root against somebody, yo, for real. You know, I always thought about getting a Washington Husky logo in my toilet. I might have to get a Texas Tech logo with my other toilet. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
get a bunch of stickers and like toilet stickers and put them in there, and you can have a bunch of different logos. But all right, let's move on from this topic. Obviously, it's something that we will monitor throughout the rest of the season, throughout the rest of the year. As a, like Steph mentioned, like Haas mentioned, like I mentioned, this is one of the biggest stories in college football, but in sports in general. Um, all right, let's. We have some time constraints, so let's go ahead and switch to a um, a schedule preview. Let's talk a little bit about the schedule. Games are not quite on the horizon, but like I think what did you say? 79 days.
Yes, sir. To week 0,
Yep,
and we
79
got
days
that
till.
pretty mediocre lineup. But
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be worth it. I mean, it's week 0 of
it's
college
week zero.
football.
It's football. Yeah,
We'll take we'll take a JMU get back game versus Oregon if we can.
Oh my
yeah. So
god.
let's talk about. We'll go week by week. Talk about some of the big games, some of the interesting matchups. I have a bunch written down here. If you guys want to pull up the schedule and mention some of your own, feel free to jump in and hop in. But yeah, week 0, like Haas mentioned, that opens up. We got North Carolina versus TCU in Dublin, NC State versus Virginia, Hawaii versus Stanford, Memphis versus UNLV. Some of the games that really stand out in week 0. Again, not the biggest slate or best slate, um, what you call it, a pretty decent week 0. Haas, we got a little background noise from you. Can you mute up when you're not active? Appreciate you. Um, then that moves us to week 1. Much bigger slate, obviously, everybody in action during week 1. But I thought week 1 was pretty weak this year. I was looking through. We got Colorado and Georgia Tech, Fresno State versus USC, Miami versus Stanford, Boise versus Oregon. I think Baylor versus Auburn and Atlanta could be a pretty interesting game. Obviously, DJ Lagway transferring to Baylor, Auburn with their brand new coaching staff um, from USF. I'm forgetting buddy's name right now, um, but you guys know what I'm
Ryan
talking about.
Hartline.
Not Hartline, um, Auburn's coach from
Oh,
USF.
Alex Golesh.
Golish. Yep. So I think Baylor versus Auburn and Atlanta could be interesting. Clemson versus LSU. Um, UCLA versus Cal. That's two new coaching staffs on the West Coast. Taj Lupoy versus who's that UCLA's coach right now? The JMU guy, right?
Yeah, I forgot
Can't
his
think of
name
his name
too.
right now, but I think that'll be a pretty interesting matchup. UCLA's recruiting really well this offseason. Taj Lupoy is a great recruiter himself and a great defensive mind, so that'll be interesting. We got the Apple Cup in week
Bob
1.
Chesney.
Bob Chesney, yeah. Apple Cup is week 1. Washington versus Washington State. Louisville versus Ole Miss, Wisconsin versus Notre Dame, Florida State versus SMU. Any of those games really stand out to you guys?
I
Week
watch
1, week 1.
SMU. Wait, who's SMU play? Florida State.
Florida State, yeah, that could be.
No, they about to get
Mm.
that belt.
Clemson versus LSU, that could be
That is made.
interesting. LSU, I think they'll be good, obviously with Lane, but Clemson, this could be Dabo's last year, man. Who knows? But he also could be
I
there
doubt
forever.
that.
Yeah, I know.
They can't fire Dabo, bro. You can't fire Dabo.
Nah, nah, but yeah, I think Baylor and Auburn, Clemson, LSU, Apple Cup. I think those are pretty much the marquee games. Those for week 1, week 2. Um, Mizzou versus Kansas is that the border war?
I think so.
Um, should be a intense game. Oklahoma versus Michigan. Oregon versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State really shouldn't do much. It shouldn't be much of a challenge for Oregon. I only added that because it's the new staff for Oklahoma State. Their first big test against uh, one of the big boys in the entire country. So Oregon's also on the road in that game. So thought it was just interesting. I don't think feel any type of way about that game, Steph. Any nerves? I wouldn't assume so.
No, I'm interested to see what Oklahoma State looks like with a new coach and a bunch of new players.
Yeah. What about Oklahoma versus Michigan? Haas? You feel any way about those two teams? Oklahoma was in the
For
playoffs last
sure,
year. Michigan,
definitely.
Bryce Underwood, year two.
Got to see Bryce Underwood. I mean, the fan base feels indifferent about him, so I definitely want to see him either transfer or prove them wrong. So I definitely want to see Oklahoma, Michigan. All the other
Yeah.
games, not so much. Maybe SMU.
Well,
They've
well,
been
there's a
exciting to
couple
watch
more. There's a
recently.
couple more week two games. I wanted to ask you about Tennessee versus Georgia Tech. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting game. And then the biggest game week two is obviously Ohio State versus Texas. Ohio State going on the road to visit Texas. Um, who won the first one? 14-7. It was Ohio State
Ohio
won.
State.
Ohio State won in the shoe last year. So we'll see what's going on um, down in the South. And then also through Archie versus Utah on their Archie new staff, Utah new staff. I think that could be interesting. See how those guys out of conference matchup goes. But yeah, Ohio State versus Texas that week. Tennessee versus Georgia Tech, I think is sneaky good. And then I didn't mention them, but Arizona State versus Texas A&M. Arizona State looking for a bounce back from them this year. A&M obvious playoff team. Memphis, Boise. I don't have many G5 games on here, but early on in the season, we're grasping for some big matchups. Week three, not a great not a great slate. That's some conference games, but Houston versus Texas Tech. I'm looking at Houston to do some real damage this year again. Florida State versus Bama. We all remember Florida State absolutely belting Bama last year and then falling off a cliff. We'll see if Bama could return the favor in Tuscaloosa. SMU versus Louisville. I think that's a pretty sneaky ACC game. I don't have too many ACC matchups on here, but the top of the ACC I think is pretty competitively interesting. At least I think Miami is the runaway favorite, but there's like four or five teams that are all pretty close to each other, and
Hmm.
Miami's known to lose what two random ass games in conference play every year. So where are we? Week three, Florida versus Auburn. Pretty big game, first SEC game for both of these staffs. Auburn will already have played Baylor in week one, so we'll know a little bit more about Auburn. But Florida on the road, John Summerall's first SEC game. Florida also lost to USF last year, Alex Golish and the boys, so they're gonna be looking for revenge.
They did
Um,
lose.
yep, I'm looking to be in the building for this one too. So we'll see, we'll see. I used to live in Auburn, so it would be nice to go back to the old stomping grounds for a little bit. I was talking to my boy about it. But LSU versus Ole Miss, the Lane Kiffin Bowl. I think that's actually being played at the same time as Florida Auburn, so that should be a fun one. LSU's going to Ole Miss, so Lane Kiffin returning to Ole Miss. It's gonna be a lot of bad blood in the air. Um, yeah, that's gonna be fun. And then Michigan State versus Notre Dame. I just put that there because they both have known helmets. That's the helmet matchup. That's not really a on paper matchup. Notre Dame should smash them. Um, week four, Oklahoma versus Georgia. How you feeling about that? Oklahoma coming
We may
to
have to slide out there.
yeah, that'll be a nice one.
Yeah, I wish they would try and do me like a Spurs fan, man. You could carry in Bama, spray some roaches out there, man. We're getting the job done. That's gonna be a great game. I think Georgia and Bama should play every year, honestly, especially in this era. Like all the
Or
years we were robbed, having to wait every 4 years to play them, aside from the SEC chip. I think they should play in the regular season every year.
I agree with your take. I was saying Oklahoma versus Georgia. Oklahoma, I mean Georgia Bama's week six. We're on week four, but I agree. Georgia and Bama should play every year in the regular season. We'll talk about them when we get to week six, but Yeah, Ole Miss versus Florida is also week 4. Texas A&M versus LSU. Texas versus Tennessee. Oregon versus USC. Feeling good about that this
Belt.
year.
They giving them belt in their house. And that fat ass AD gonna be. I don't know what he gonna be doing. He not gonna be dancing like he tried to do on our field.
And then
He gotta get that belt.
Iowa they travel to Michigan that week as well. Um, week 5, Pitt they travel to Virginia Tech. Cal they play UNLV. Miami versus Clemson. They go to Clemson this year, so you could circle that game for a potential Miami slip up if they do have one this year. I think that's their biggest test on the road against Clemson. Ohio State they travel to Iowa. Washington they travel to USC in week 5 as well. BYU versus TCU. Baylor versus Arizona State, and then North Carolina versus Notre Dame are all week 5 as well. Some of the marquee matchups. There's a bunch of conference games going on that week as well that are good matchups in the SEC and the Big Ten, but those are the standout ones. In week 6, Iowa, they travel to Washington. Georgia versus Bama, like Haas mentioned, one of the, or probably the marquee game that in the SEC at this point. Bama versus LSU was the game for a while, but I think Georgia versus Bama has slowly morphed into that game. Um, Obviously, with those two teams dominating the SEC for the past decade. Although we done with the '90s. Okay, the old days is the old days. Haas, Bama fans out there, it's time for a new generation to rise up and take control of the SEC.
Oh, brother.
All right, um,
Soft DC.
soft DC, let's do it. Texas versus Oklahoma and Dallas. I said the Sugar Bowl. It's at the Sugar Bowl, but it's the What is it called? The Red River Shootout. Sorry, guys.
Cotton Bowl,
Yeah, at the Cotton Bowl. But they're not playing at the Cotton Bowl. They're playing in Dallas.
which is stupid.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
That's
and
y'all
then
conference though. Y'all soft. Y'all can't even play a game outside.
If y'all had your own conference, like independent or represented independent, you wouldn't have any trophies. Y'all have been leeching off Big Ten trophies and Pac-12 trophies
What are you
for
talking
the
about?
program's entire
We
history.
won the Big Ten.
I'm saying national championships. Like I'm like Oregon fans are always bragging like they've
It's
got
coming
this
soon, man.
hardware.
It's
Like,
coming
come
soon.
on, man.
It's coming
When
soon. It's coming soon. Don't worry about it.
Phil Knight Jr. take over the company,
God's timing is always right, man. That's all I gotta say. God's timing
um,
is always right.
week 7 is a big week. We got Auburn versus Georgia, Bama versus Tennessee, two big SEC rivalry matchups. Florida versus Texas. We all remember Florida popping Texas in the swamp last year. Can Texas return the favor this year? Florida State versus Miami, a big Sunshine State rivalry. Penn State, they travel to Michigan in week 7 as well. Ohio State travels to Indiana in week 7. Two of the top 3 programs in the Big Ten. So week 7 is loaded. Arizona State, they travel to Texas Tech. Notre Dame, they're on the road playing BYU. Oklahoma State, they travel to play Houston. Utah versus Colorado. And Georgia Tech travels to play Virginia Tech. I think that's a sneaky good matchup. Brett Key versus James Franklin in his new home. So crazy week 7. A lot of big matchups. That's not even including all the other conference matchups and things of that nature. Week 8, less um, less gaudy. You got A&M on the road taking on Bama. Ole Miss on the road taking on Texas. Indiana, they travel to Michigan, and Virginia Tech travels to Clemson in week 8. Amongst other obvious conference games. Week 9, Notre Dame versus Navy is a classic rivalry. Florida, Georgia in Atlanta, another classic big rivalry in week 9. Ohio State, they take a West Coast trip to take on USC and the Trojans, and pretty exciting Big 12 after dark I'd assume is going to be Arizona State versus BYU in Week 9. Week 10, Virginia Tech and James Franklin, they are going to go play SMU. Pretty interesting ACC matchup between two teams that should be fighting for one of those top spots or potentially a ACC championship berth. Bama versus USC. I guess they travel to the West Coast. I didn't even realize that's a random ass game to have in Week 10. Georgia, they travel to Ole Miss in Week 10 as well. Miami, they travel to Notre Dame as well that week. Louisville, they go to Georgia Tech. Oregon goes to Ohio State. Michigan versus Michigan. Michigan State versus Michigan. Penn State, they go to the West Coast to Washington, and BYU versus Utah in the Holy War. So, Week 10 is another loaded week in college football. Some big matchups that week: Oregon versus Ohio State, Miami versus Notre Dame. That'll be fun. Week 11, we got Ole Miss versus Oklahoma, Tennessee versus A&M, Texas versus LSU, USC, they travel to play Indiana, Michigan, they travel to play Oregon this year, Georgia Tech, they play on the road at Clemson, Baylor against BYU, and Texas Tech, they travel to play Oklahoma State. Decent week, but nothing too crazy. And then Week 12, the last week before rivalry week, we got LSU versus Tennessee, A&M versus Oklahoma, SNU. They travel to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a couple big games this year. I'll give them that. They have a nice schedule this year. Utah, they travel to TCU. Indiana goes to Washington. Oklahoma State travels to Arizona State. Virginia Tech on the road against Miami, potential upset. And then Week 13 is rivalry week. I don't got to go through all those games. We all know the rivalries: Florida State, Georgia Tech, Bama Auburn, the Iron Bowl, um, Ohio State Michigan, um, Texas A&M versus Texas, I think, a bunch of other stuff. Um, so yeah, any specific games that you guys are looking forward to involving your team or other teams in general?
Well, and and personally, our season really comes down to the USC and Ohio State games. I think we give USC a belt, and then Ohio State, it's at their place. So I feel like if we're gonna lose a game, it's gonna be that game. But other than that, I don't really know. I think we're gonna have to see how things start to play out, especially for those later games. There's always gonna be a game that has implications towards the end of the season that right now we're not really anticipating. So I think um, I'm interested to see what happens at like Tennessee. I'm interested to see what happens at a lot of the places in the ACC because it looked like we just said before, Miami's a heavy favorite, but I think there's a good amount of teams that could maybe challenge them with Clemson and Florida State being down right now. So I think there's a lot of things that we could be looking forward to during the season. And the SEC, I think that's a little bit of an unpredictable conference right now as well. I don't know if there's a clear favorite.
I don't think there's a clear favorite because of because of the. I think it's pretty even. Like if you compare every school where one has an advantage, the other one has favors in another area. Like I think the biggest games this year would be like Steph said, O State, Oregon, O State, Texas, Georgia, Bama. Really the best schools and the best conferences, and obviously the conference title games. I think those are always really the most like hands down the most exciting games of the year, only because you I don't think we really get bad games. We rarely get bad conference championship games between the SEC and Big Ten. So those are always good. And I think obviously the winner of those usually goes on to have a very long postseason, whether it's playing in the national championship or winning it. So I think the Big Ten chip, SEC chip. I know Notre Dame hosts Miami again, swing like you said. I don't know what week that is. What was that week? What was that week 2? maybe Miami
That
Notre
was later
Dame.
on in the season. I don't know. I could find it, but um, week 10.
Okay, week 10, week 10, week 10. I thought you said two, but yeah, that's gonna be a crazy game. I mean, I think Notre Dame's coach is probably, along with Kirby Smart, one of the most, for TV sake wise, like marketable coaches. You know, Marcus Freeman, Kirby Smart, Signetti, Lane Kiffin. I don't want to say Dan Lanning yet. He's just still goofy to me. I don't think they're really putting him in those conversations, but he's
This
just
man just be
goofy.
going out of his way to hate, yo. This man just be
He's
going out
just
of his way to
goofy.
hate.
Yeah,
I hope
he's
y'all see
not
this
that
right now.
marketable.
I
He's a
hope y'all
clown.
see
I
this right
think
now.
I think because he
I hope
like
y'all
acts
see
like
this
he's
right
a
now.
cokehead and he's off that yayo every time they
I
interview
hope y'all
him.
see this right
Like
now.
I think that's what makes him look
This man just be going out of
less
his way to hate.
marketable. I
Don't
think
y'all see how I don't even hate on his team? He just
Oregon
be
got
hating
Bob
on my
Menery
team.
as the head coach.
He just be hating on my team, man. I don't even be hating on the Georgia Bulldogs, and I give them the go dogs
Oh,
over them
brother.
lame ass Huskies. So
Li- we lying on a live, man. If anybody had access to this guy's group chats, not slandering Georgia. If you could filter out all the accounts who
I
forwarded
slander them
Georgia
when they
posts,
deserve to get
he's
slandered, though.
definitely up there.
I don't slander them football wise. I slander them because of their off the field activities, which they deserve to be slandered for.
I mean, I'm excited to see really just the big schools this year. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see LSU. I have to see Ryan Day go 12-0 every year. It's always funny to see him stressed out and fighting for his life because O State fans are so damn greedy and they expect to win a championship every year. This guy's growing gray hairs by the second, so
yeah,
it's good. It's funny to see Ryan Day have to go through that at O State. Uh, yeah, Michigan. I don't really care about Michigan. They always play O State. I think that game's kind of lost, in my opinion, non-Big Ten fan. I think that game's lost a little aura to it just because of Michigan. I mean, Michigan has a natty, but even that squad was just so boring to watch. Like, I think college football is better when Michigan's good, but they've never been like outside. They've never been the one of the best teams to watch. They're not that fun to watch. I think it's better when they're good because it makes for more competition and they're a historic school. But hopefully, Buddy Boy can get them right this year because I could see him transferring.
yeah. I mean,
I heard there's a little competition too.
I agree with
I
your
don't know
overall
how true that
assessment.
is, but I heard
I
there's a
think
little
it's a
competition in Michigan.
I think it's a pretty exciting year overall. I think there was a lot of movement this offseason. Well, I mean, just in general now in this era of college football with the whole portal, but not just the portal, with a bunch of new coaches being hired at all these big programs. I mean, we talked about it a couple episodes ago, maybe 2 episodes ago. So go back and listen to it if you haven't already. But we talked about all the new head coaches in each conference and like some of our expectations for them and what we thought their fits were at each of the programs and all that stuff. There's a lot of new coaches at some of these marquee programs. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how these big matchups go because, like you said, I mean, it's it's going to be strange seeing some of the head coaches on some of these sidelines, but I think that's going to lead to exciting matchups, good football, um, and overall another strong college football season. We just hope it's not ruined by the whole Sorsby situation and the NCAA spiraling even more out of control than it already has, because it already is a madhouse. It already is crazy. We're saying that, um, it could change a lot, but it has already changed a lot. So it will continue to change. We'll be here to cover it all. Guys, you have anything else you want to talk about? I think we could put the college football talk on CFB 27 talk on the burner for next episode as the game's release gets closer. Maybe we'll take some time, play the beta a little bit, read up more on the game so we can actually talk more knowledgeable about the game coming up. Um, so I think we can end it there unless there's any other topics or conversations that you want to get into.
I
Um,
think we hit everything, man. I mean,
yeah.
I don't, this Brendan Swordsby thing is out of control. I mean, he ain't even that good, man. What has he done in his career
Nah.
to
He's
be?
he. I think he's good, but you're right. He's not that good. I don't think he
Well,
was
yeah,
one of the
he's
top
he's a good
quarterbacks.
player, but
Yeah, he's a good player.
he was the top quarterback in the portal because nobody was in the portal.
Yeah, I don't know about that much, but I wouldn't have been mad if the Gators would have took him skill wise. I'll
Well,
put it
yeah,
like
I
that.
mean, if
I'm
you're a
not
team
hanging
that
on him,
don't
but
have a quarterback,
yeah,
absolutely.
right. But
But anybody with a quarterback that with a pulse
right,
is probably not taking him,
I can agree
and
with
they
that.
didn't. That's why he went to Tech.
Yeah, they also gave him like a lot of money. I don't know what the number was,
I
but it
think
was
it
a
was
lot.
$5 million.
I wanted to say seven, but five sounds much more reasonable.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm pretty sure Cody Campbell actually said himself that he
yeah,
paid him five, so there could be
five.
more,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right. Well, then we will close the show here. We appreciate all the love and support over the off season. We know we've been slower with episodes, but obviously just not as much content to get through. As you guys know, during the season, we post 2 episodes every single week, one reaction, one prediction show. So content will be going crazy real soon. We're hopefully going to be moving to some video platforms, some video content soon as well. And so, yeah, big things for the podcast as we move into season 4, our first full cycle, I guess, covering college football. It's crazy how fast the time is flowing, but it's been fun doing this with you guys here throughout these past couple years. And yeah, we're really excited for the 2026 season. So stick around because we'll be here. So make sure you follow, you like, you subscribe, you comment, give us your thoughts, ask us questions, comment on what you guys think about what we talked about. Trying to build a community up and have fun this summer and fall. So we will see you guys next time. Any final
Yes,
words, gentlemen?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Dogs in 15.
All right.
Oh, brother.
All right, we out. Peace.